Been very rewarding. So
Morgan, what's it like to work 100% full-time with your husband?
yeah, what's it like?
Frustrating.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't have to be as warm and syrupy as Monroe just said, right? All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the Full Send Podcast, and we have a really special guest. Everybody knows her. She's probably the biggest celebrity in the gym. What do you think, Monroe? Yeah?
She's my favorite, that's for sure.
Yeah, agreed on that one. So we have Mrs. Morgan Miller to the show. Morgan, what's going on?
Nothing. Excited to be here.
Yeah. And then, as always, I have my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Monroe Miller. Coach,
how you doing?
What's up, man?
Dude, having a good day.
Yeah.
Glad to finally get my better half on the podcast.
Yeah.
To share her story of, what I love to do. So.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be unique, and I don't think we were recording previous to this, but Morgan was just sharing with us that one of the first reactions she had when she heard Monroe did CrossFit was like, "Oh, not CrossFit! What a douche! No way, this guy's cool." And I think that's probably still a fairly fair stereotype. Maybe that's dwindling. I don't know. Where did that come from? You've been doing this way longer than I have. And so when I started in 2016, that was still a thing, right? You did CrossFit and people just kind of give you sideways going, it's like you're going to hurt yourself or whatever it's going to be. Did that exist when you first
Oh, yeah. It was very much like a meme kind of, people would be like, oh, it's a CrossFitter because he won't shut up about what he's doing,
right.
That kind of stuff. So,
Morgan,
it was definitely a thing.
What did you think about CrossFit before you ever started? So obviously you had a pretty serious reaction to Monroe being he's a CrossFit guy. What did you think of it back in the day before you even tried it?
I didn't really know that much about it. All I remember is that he would argue with me saying CrossFit's a sport, and I was like, no, it's not.
If it doesn't have a ball, it's not a sport. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just the memes that you would see, and I'm like, oh, CrossFit, he must be a douche.
Yeah.
And then when I first stepped foot into a CrossFit gym, I was like, this is not what I expected at all.
Was it Verity or was it a different gym?
Oh, it was Verity. I had never worked out or stepped foot in a gym since high school.
How long ago was this?
So 2018, I think, is when I started doing CrossFit.
Wow, okay. So I would have guessed you've been doing this a lot longer. And I think that was the interpretation that I had when I first met you. I was like, they must have met doing CrossFit together. They must have always done this. And I know some of the story at least now. Monroe, how long did you ever try to get Morgan to do CrossFit when you guys were dating kind of in the early stage? How was that? Talk to us about that.
So her first so our first texting conversation, one of the first things she's like, hey, so how much does it cost to join your gym?
Oh, that's
and I'm like, look, you don't want to join my gym. I'm like, this is not it's not what you think it is. And I knew she was just trying to talk to me and go out with me or whatever.
Had you guys gone out at this point at all? Okay.
No.
Okay, I got you.
But yeah, I didn't force her. I tried after we, eventually started dating and everything. It became a point of contention between us because I was always at the gym, and that was back in 2017, and I was really into it. Yeah, so I tried to get her to come along with me because it was hey, you're spending all this time at the gym. I was like, look, this is where my life is, this is the man you met. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, I tried to push her into it for a while, and I just noticed that the harder that I pushed, the more she was like, I don't want to do that, you know. And then eventually it just gets to a point where I'm like, look, I don't really care what you do. I want you to just be healthy. I don't care if you're doing CrossFit or running or Orange Theory or whatever. I just wanted her to be healthy.
Yeah, makes total sense.
So yeah.
Cool. Morgan, when did all that change for you? So obviously that was a point of contention for you guys, but eventually either he got you to walk through the door or you just took it upon yourself to go through the doors of Verity. When did that change? How did that change for you?
Probably when I was about 9 months postpartum with Harper.
Okay.
And I was 22, and I was like, wow, this weight is just not falling off like it used to.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And so I just felt like it was in a funk, and so I did a private training session with Monroe, and just with the empty barbell, and I was like, man, this sucks.
Do you remember any of the movements he had you do with the empty barbell that first one-on-one?
He had me doing like jerks and like muscle snatches and like the basic stuff.
Had you ever done any of that stuff previously?
I had never touched a barbell.
All right.
I couldn't tell you the difference between a dumbbell and a kettlebell and which one was which before I set foot in a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. And now she owns her very own barbell, and it's like,
yeah. So
such a weird thing.
Were you sold on the first one-on-one, or did you kind of like what was that experience like afterwards in the one-on-one? What did you think? What was going through your head?
Well, I saw how fit all the women were at our gym, most of them, and I was like, man, some of them I was like, oh, I don't want to look like that. I don't want to look that built. And then others I'm like, oh, I want to look like her, and like saw the workouts that they were doing. So the first thing I did was I went and I dragged my friend Olivia with me, because I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going to make you do it with me.
Yeah.
And I think for the first 3 months, I just checked the box. I would only go if she was going. Maybe it was 2 days a week. Maybe it was 3. Definitely never more than 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I would scale everything. I would be like, oh, 400 meters? I'm going to do like 2 for no reason.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic when you first come into the gym, and I think it's okay to scale for the most part, you know,
for
as
sure,
long as it's appropriate and everything like that. There is a difference between like I just don't want to do that and you needing to do that.
Yeah, and I think for her there was a little bit of, like, I think people have to kind of break through that, like it's okay to like really push yourself and to really like, you know, be vulnerable and get really sweaty and get really tired. And I think that like, especially when people have not been working out or not been in a gym, especially like this, it's like, yeah, we want you to go hard. Like, I want you to show some emotion here and, you know, get into it. But that took a while for you to, and now I can't pull her away from it. Like,
yeah.
So,
what was it like to have, I guess, boyfriend at the time or fiance, significant other coaching you? And how did you handle that?
So, I definitely had custom out a few workouts, and so it got to the point,
a lot of workouts.
And so I had to switch to our noon coach, Natasha at the time, only go to her classes because I would listen to her direction versus if Monroe told me to do something better, I'd be like, go away. And
it's still that way.
It's not that way. I always do the classes now.
It is. I think it's really hard to coach your significant other sometimes, and like I don't mean that in a bad way, you know. But because I coached Sydney too, right? That was my relationship with her previous to obviously marrying her and doing all that. And before we dated, very easy. After we dated, in the middle, like in the beginning, it was okay, you know. But she responds much better to Monroe than she does to me. And I don't think that's a bad thing, you know. I just think that's an interesting dynamic, and I think it's also perfectly okay that you just want your significant other to be your significant other and maybe not your CrossFit coach and everything. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, I tell all the coaches, like, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think there's a point where you can almost care too much about the other person to where they're like, dude, I don't want you to care about me that much right now. I just want to focus on myself.
Sometimes you have to have like that tough conversation where you're like, oh man, and that's hard, you know, because like for me especially, I like to make her feel good and I want to lift her up, you know, but you know, I don't have a great example off the top of my head, but if you have to have a tough conversation with your significant other while you're coaching, it just gets interesting.
For sure.
Yeah, we digress. So anyway, going back to you, Morgan. So you went to Natasha's class, but eventually you seem very comfortable with him. What's it like having him coach you today versus when you started?
I think after doing CrossFit for a few years, I'm like, all right, maybe he knows what he's talking about. I should probably listen when he says I'm too far forward instead of saying it's all in his head.
Dude, there are so many moments, like I've been coaching for like 4 years now, and even still, there's some moments where like any coach will come up to me and be like, "Hey, Brandon, you know, keep your heels down when you're squatting." I'm like, "Fuck you,"
yeah.
You know. Like, but then you're like, "Wait, no." They're like, "I don't know what it is, if your heart rate's just up or what it is," but I totally understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I checked the box for like 6 to 9 months, and then when I got my first toes to bar, I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to keep doing this shit. what else can I do?
Yeah. So that was the moment where like the switch kind of happened, and you were just like, all right, like what else am I capable of? So you were doing, you said 2 to 3 times a week, and checking the boxes, only coming if Olivia went. Then you got your first toes to the bar. What did you change after that?
And then I started coming 5 days a week.
All right.
I started working out 6 days a week, and then Monroe was like, you need to take a rest day. You took 2 rest days. I was like, no, I don't. I'm fine. And then, right when I started really getting into it, we got pregnant with Levi, of course. And
okay, so this was not that long ago where you were really like, okay, I'm going 100% all in.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was ever in the gym where you weren't there very often, like all the time, at least in my experience there. So
yeah, with Harper, I mean, it was kind of more like, I don't know, we were just kind of, I guess, waiting to have Harper, and then
yep,
it seemed like after that you kind of were, all right, now what do I got to do, you know? But leading up to that, it was definitely like, okay, we're gonna, like, I have this picture of her on the assault bike, pregnant with Harper. And then, like, I'm like, yeah, my girlfriend, my future wife is here. And she, like, just looks like she hates me for dragging her in.
It's tough to smile when you're on the assault bike,
That's
you know.
true.
Give us a like if you agree with that comment. All right, so something that was really significant, at least when I was first viewing you do CrossFit, is I pretty much I started knowing you and watched the first year of me being here while you were with Levi and pregnant with Levi. And for those of you who don't know, I think most of our viewers would know this, but Morgan was doing CrossFit workouts pretty much up until the day that she went to the hospital. How did your pregnancy differ from Harper and Levi? Was it easier one way or the other? Was it similar? And then how did you manage to do CrossFit all the way up until when Levi pretty much came out?
So with Harper, I ate like crap. I was like, I'm pregnant, so I'm going to eat whatever I want. I had dessert after every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I gained like 50 pounds with Harper, and she was a decent-sized baby, almost 8 pounds.
Yeah.
And then it definitely, now after having Levi, and like watching what I ate, I had only gained like 25 pounds of Levi, which is the normal, like what you're supposed to gain.
That's cool.
But the recovery time afterwards, like I just remember with Harper, postpartum, like weeks afterwards, it was walking around was exhausting, like my body was just so beat up. And then Levi, it was like, I remember a few hours after giving birth, and I was up walking around, no problem, like doing normal things.
That is super cool.
And the labor was like super quick too.
I only pushed for like 6 minutes with Levi.
And it was
I
like
don't know
6
that much
hours
about
with Harper.
childbirth, but
But-
that sounds fast.
It was
Well,
very fast.
it's a, like women will know, like that's
Yeah.
that's what you want.
Yeah, you want to get in and get out.
Yeah.
You don't want to push for 7-8 hours.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
Yeah.
What was the experience like working out for that entire 9 months while being pregnant, and what advice would you give to others that are also pregnant going through the same thing? Because you get a lot of different feedback from different doctors, different people, and I have seen dozens of women go through this. And, I think for the most part, our society is kind of like, you should just sit on the couch and kind of wait and be safe and be careful and, like, somewhat understand that. But then there's people like you who are in this the whole time. So, what advice do you have for somebody out there? And then again, like, what was it like on those 9 months?
Well, obviously it depends on like how your pregnancy is going. I was told when I was pregnant with Harper not to try anything new, so I didn't. With Levi, I had already been doing CrossFit. I did like step up the intensity while I was pregnant because I was getting into CrossFit, but I just kept moving and kept like a good, like a good level of heart rate for each workout. Like I knew what I could and I couldn't do. Like I stopped kipping after 12 weeks, which is why I think that I don't have any ab separation. And I mean, believe it or not, I hit a lot of PRs when I was pregnant, and so did one of our members, Jem.
Yeah.
She just had a baby, and she hit a lot of PRs when she was pregnant. I mean, not
and we
like
got Zufi in here too, who's still like rocking.
Yeah.
She's 3 weeks away.
Yep.
It's pretty cool to see
Yeah.
all that stuff occurring.
So, I mean, one thing that, at least from listening to her go through it, was she would talk about how, like, she just, Jem, same way, like they feel very, very strong when they have the child, like when it's in utero. And I think that, like, if you think about it like a sandbag, that sandbag helps brace your midline, when you hug onto a sandbag.
Yeah, what an
And so it's like
analogy.
the same thing. It's like extra bracing for your midline, extra strength for your core, and just, her squats went through the roof. Like,
I guess like my advice would be to just stay moving. If you've already been doing CrossFit and you're now pregnant, almost done with your pregnancy, midway through, like, just keep moving, because it feels good to just feel like you have some control over your body that's constantly changing with a child growing inside of you. And I liked that control that I had, knowing that I was just still able to move my body and just get out of the house, because pregnancy is really boring. There's so many things you can't do. And it was nice to come to the gym and just, even if it's like I'm just doing squats or whatever I was doing, like I continued doing this until, I was doing pull-ups until 35 weeks. And then
strict.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
And it was just nice to still, like, knowing what you can do still, and just do those things without, like, putting yourself or the baby in danger, obviously.
What are your suggestions here as being the owner, the head coach, everything like that, for somebody that's going through pregnancy right now at the gym?
So everyone's a little bit different. And as a man, coaching a woman going through this is like the hardest thing ever, because I have no idea what they're feeling. And you kind of have to work with whoever's pregnant, who you're talking to, and really make sure that the communication is there. So I was basically wanted her to avoid any excessive extension of her abdomen and anything that would put the baby in danger, right? So we stopped going inverted after the first trimester, right? We stopped kipping after the first trimester. And then a lot of the stuff with like the barbell and cleans and stuff after the second trimester, when the belly got really big, it wasn't that she couldn't do those movements or that they can't do those movements. It's more just like the belly's in the way and it's just a risk factor that you don't need. I remember she got rope climb like almost at the end of the second trimester, and it was like a Saturday workout, and she's like over here climbing the rope with this big old belly. And she's like stoked out of her mind that she's getting rope climbs, it's like so cool. And after that, I'm like, hey, like, let's probably not do that anymore. Yeah. Like, and it's not that there's anything injurious about her climbing the rope with the baby, other than the fact that if she falls and lands on that baby, then it's game over. So it's like, there's things like that, and like going inverted, same thing, like, it's just risk to reward. So yeah, but definitely I would lay off the kipping and the excessive opening the abdomen. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Any advice that you would go back in time and give yourself there, Morgan, or any of the other mothers that are out there kind of going through the same thing?
Yeah, I would say don't be so hard on yourself. What's going to happen is going to happen. And just appreciate what your body can do, and be patient with it. Like, there's plenty of time for everything, just kind of, it's hard to say, but like, enjoy the process and take your time and be patient with yourself.
Awesome. I love it. You two run the business now, so Monroe is pretty much, your shop, I don't know, one or two different partners, people who are helping out with the gym, and then you guys have transitioned to really, it's you two running this full time together. Monroe, I'm going to start with you. What's it like to work 100% full time with your wife?
Best thing ever.
Yeah. Tell us more. Tell us more.
So it's the best thing about being able to do this with my wife is that it's so much more meaningful for both of us. And it's like when you're married, you're truly a team, and to be able to take that into like every avenue of our life together is really rewarding. And it definitely causes fights here and there and disagreements, but like, her more than anybody else I trust, and I know that she has the best intentions. So it's been very rewarding and very, very helpful. There was a whole community aspect to like that she has taken, and you know, like I really give her credit for a lot of the reason that the vibe of this gym is what it is, and it's such a positive, you know, place. You know, I love coaching. I'm great at coaching, but like I don't know how to talk to women the same way she does, you know, and like
Yeah.
And like, you know, I can talk to guys and I can coach you up and down, but like that doesn't make the same connection as like, you know, she'll have conversations with some of our members and I'm like, oh, why are you talking to her? She's like, oh, I talk to these people all the time. Like, that's awesome, you know. And it's just like having her being a part of like a leader in the female side of the gym, you know, I think has just been super helpful for our culture and our community here. And not to mention, like, I wasn't doing any of this retail stuff before she came along, and that's like, you know, from a business perspective, it's been huge for our revenue. Like through the pandemic, when we didn't have a lot of paying members, we were able to like leverage more retail, you know, and that would have been, I wouldn't have ever done that without her, you know. And so now it's like more and more and more, she takes on more, I trust her with more, and we share this thing together, and it's just been, it's been very rewarding. So
Morgan, what's it like to work 100% full time with your husband?
yeah, what's it like?
Frustrating.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't have to be as warm and syrupy as Monroe just said, right? Speak what's on your mind.
I mean, it's frustrating. It's awesome, and it's hard at times.
All the emotions.
Yeah, I mean, it's great being a business owner. It's a lot of hours and a lot of work. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and she was like, man, he's at the gym late all the time. How do you deal with that? And I was like, wine most of the time. But like, you just kind of get in this group where you're like, well, I know why he's there, you know, like getting things done together. I mean, it's a team effort. Obviously, like we talked about me getting L1, but I think like we bartended together and we would butt heads when we were behind the bar together a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think that it wouldn't be a good idea for me to coach because we just have different jobs at the gym, right? Like I deal with
how
the
do
members.
you guys break up the different tasks that need to be done?
This is something that we've had to figure out. So that was like,
Yeah.
you know, the trust piece. That's something that like with other partners and other coaches and other things, like you kind of have to build that trust. Like I don't have to build trust with her, but we did have to build like, you know, this is what I do and I need you to do this, and you know what, you don't need to worry about what I do and I don't want to worry about what you do. So
Yeah, so I do all the retail, I do like member maintenance, making sure that like everyone's happy, and like I hear
Events.
everything that they're saying, you know, like I pass along complaints and like little things that people would like to be tweaked, and he deals with the memberships, the coaches, so
yeah.
I think divvying it up like that's super important. You were touching on like the member experience, sort of deal with that. And when you have somebody who's like really freaking good at that, like Morgan, dude, that is huge for a gym or really any sort of business where you need to have like a community kind of base to it, right? I ran soccer facilities earlier in my career, and it was the same deal, right? If people were friends with one another, there's going to be a lot more people, there's going to be a lot more teams, business is going to be better. That's a huge component to the entire business of the gym.
And as a business owner, like if you have to staff that out to somebody, because I know like I've had business coaches that have been like, oh, you need to have a customer success manager, and it's like, well, yeah, but if that person is just like naturally cares about the customer's success because she's just a piece of it, and if they're happy, then she's happy and we're all happy, then it's just so much more organic and natural. And like, I really care about people moving better, and she really cares about these women feeling better in the clothes that they're wearing, and like cares that they're coming. And I don't have to I'm not like following up with her like, hey, did you reach out to so and so about this? It's just like, it's just natural for her, you know. And so that's why it's been such an organic thing in our community, which is cool.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Any plans kind of going forward with the business here, guys, that you guys want to share, or anything that you guys want to kind of accomplish together here at the gym in the near future?
I think that obviously like when the front is finished, that's like the next big thing. But once this place is finished, and I mean, and it's already doing really well, I think eventually in a few years we'd like to open one big weightlifting gym close by, kind of separate the two out.
That would be sick.
Yeah. So I mean, like, my kind of, it's been something that we've planned for a while and been talking about for a while. And when we moved here, like, my kind of design with this whole place, and the reason that I sold all the jerk blocks and all the platforms and everything, was because I wanted this to be the best group CrossFit class gym in the area, where you could get as fit as possible and have an awesome group experience. But that's not the best experience for somebody that wants to practice Olympic weightlifting or somebody that wants to practice powerlifting. And if you are an Olympic weightlifter, having a bunch of CrossFitters dancing around in front of you while you're trying to focus and lift is not the environment you want to be in.
Yeah.
And that's where most of those people find themselves. So there, you know, I think that there's I think that I have a idea of what would be a perfect haven for a weightlifter. And I know so many weightlifters in this area, and I love that sport, and I'm really passionate about it. And I think that now that I really do feel like I have a partner that, you know, if I had to step away and spend more time at another facility, that things wouldn't just deteriorate here, because, like I said, she's so much a piece of this community and everything else. And vice versa, too. You know, like, if she had to go do something at a sister gym, then it wouldn't take away from this. So
yeah, I've got good friends of mine down in Virginia Beach, Jason Fernandez, Phil Sabatini as well, right? So I mean, they got East Coast weightlifting, is in a facility. It's in the same building, but they have like their own separate area, and it's a massive layout. But it's super cool, and they're separated, right? You can kind of do add-ons to one another, but it's like the weightlifters are over here, and there's like 100 of them. It's crazy. It's really cool, and then the CrossFitters are over here.
Right.
I love where you guys are going to be going for that and everything. So that's fantastic there, guys. The next thing I kind of want to get into is I kind of want to do like a little lightning round for Morgan here to kind of end. Yeah. But previous to doing that, is there any other topics that you guys kind of want to go over and speak on here before we go into lightning round and closing thoughts?
no.
Okay, cool. I'm just firing this off the top of my head. I don't have a list that I'm going to in any particular order there, Morgan. But what was the hardest movement for you when you first started CrossFit?
Overhead squats.
What was your favorite movement that you did when you first started CrossFit?
Cleans.
What is your least favorite movement to do now in CrossFit?
Wall balls.
Really?
Oh, man. Love me some wall balls. What's your favorite movement now in CrossFit?
I like any type of gymnastics, really. I love pull-ups. But, I mean, pull-ups, snatches.
Yeah, she was like, we haven't done a lot of pull-ups recently. She was like, everybody loves pull-ups. I was like, nobody likes pull-ups. Just because you like pull-ups.
I like regular pull-ups, but if we have like chest-to-bar pull-ups, God.
Yeah,
it's
no.
the worst movement in the world. Okay, cool. If you got to choose a triplet, you got to create a triplet called Morgan, what would the 3 movements be?
Heavy squat cleans.
Hell yeah. That's my girl.
That'd be fun.
That's my girl.
Butterfly pull-ups.
Okay.
Or pull-ups in general, and handstand push-ups.
Pull-ups, handstand push-ups, and heavy cleans. That'd be a doozy of a workout. Cool. I love it. What is one workout that you've beaten Monroe in, if any?
No, last week.
Yeah, last week. Monday, actually. With the lunges, I beat him by 2 seconds.
With the lunge, what was the workout?
It was 7 rounds. 7 rounds with
10 American swings, 10
kettlebell
front
swings.
lunges.
Yeah, 10 front rack lunges. I got 452 and he got 454.
Suck it, bro.
I know.
And the first thing he says, he comes over while I'm laying on the ground dying, and he goes, "Are you sure you did that last round?" I'm like,
that's what that was referencing. So there was some stuff in the group chat, and it was just somebody was trolling Monroe.
Yeah,
but I didn't know what it was in reference to. This
and then he was like, I was like, yeah, I screwed up. And he was like, yeah, this is something where like being short is really helpful.
Right.
Like, damn it.
Right. I'm sure she only beat you because she's 5'2", I'm sure.
I mean, dude, she's been getting surprisingly fit.
Yeah.
And
I beat him last week in a workout too. I don't remember what that one was though.
Yeah. It's so crazy to like watch like what she's doing now. I'm just like, who is this woman? Like, why is my wife? And I say that like multiple times a week, but it's like we did that push-up challenge together.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, we're here like doing push-ups on the ground. I'm like, you got clapping push-ups? Me in my head, I'm like, it's not gonna do clap push. She's just like, I'm like, what? Like, who is this? Like, why are you doing that? It's just crazy.
That is awesome.
But it's so cool because, like, I've seen that happen with myself when I started CrossFit. I've seen it happen with other people. Like, when they really latch on and, like, drink the Kool-Aid, like, they really dive in, like, 100%. And it's just really cool that I got to see that with my wife, you know, and especially the way it started. Like, I never thought that was going to be a thing that I was going to get to see. I thought it was going to be like, we're just kind of dragging her through this exercise thing. So
yeah,
it's been cool.
Okay, back to the lightning round. What was the hardest WOD that you've ever done? Worst you've ever felt afterwards, and what was that workout?
Holly Man.
Really?
What is Holly Man? I don't know what that is.
Wall balls, handstand push-ups, and cleans.
Handstand. Okay, wall balls, handstand push-ups, and cleans. Wow, that's like
It's
almost
just,
your
it's
favorite
30.
workout.
It's 30 rounds is the problem.
Oh,
just
I
30
do know what
rounds,
this
5
workout
wall
is.
balls, 3 handstand push-ups, 1 clean at 225.
Holly Man. All right, cool. What's your favorite work? Like, what's the most proud in a workout that you've ever been in yourself? And what was that workout?
Murph. Murph, and then we did a mini Murph.
I remember the mini Murph. That was a fun workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did really well. I guess I had finished 3 minutes ahead of like some of the fittest girls in our gym, and I was like, oh shit. I was really happy. I remember I called him up and I was like, I won the workout. And
It's
I
a
was
big
like,
moment.
cool. I'm like, okay.
That's a big deal to like people like me and you, Morgan, because like I don't know about you, I seldomly win workouts, you know. So it's a cool thing. It's because we have some really fit dudes here, and it's awesome. But it's a cool moment when you get to be on top of the leaderboard, you know.
It is, and if I can beat Sydney, who is a true athlete, I am amazed with myself.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, maybe she wasn't racing me, so.
Sydney only has one speed, and it is go as hard as I possibly can. And I absolutely adore that about her. It's fantastic. Favorite memory that you've ever had in the gym does not have to be workout related. It could be experience. And I know there's probably a lot to draw from, but just maybe first thing comes off the top of your head there. Favorite memory in the gym?
I have a lot, but I will go back to this past Open when my future sister-in-law Jen was doing what was that?
It was
21.
21.5.
21.5, and she was doing like she was doing the complex at the end.
Yep.
And she had missed it before, and she was trying again, and I was her judge, and she got it up, and when she made the lift, and tears were rushing to her eyes because she was so happy, I started crying, and I got goosebumps.
Man, yeah.
Just that feeling, and I'm like, this is why we do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the things that like you never think you're capable of, especially when you first come into the gym and you do things that like you never thought you could possibly ever do in your life, and CrossFit gets you to do those things. It is beautiful methodology. Last question, what is your favorite memory or experience with Monroe at the gym?
This is a hard one.
So many great memories with Monroe.
That. There's too many to choose from that. And if it's hard to choose there, Morgan, again, just something that kind of first comes to the top of your head here.
Well, I mean, he's taught me, I would say most, if not all, of the skills I've learned at the gym. Pull-ups, butterfly. We're working on muscle-ups, double unders, all that stuff. But I would say like my favorite memory is when we gave him his one wheel.
Oh yeah, that was a cool moment.
It was a cool moment.
Have we talked about that? What did that feel like, man? I had a very similar experience to that, and it was like I got a barbell 2 years ago, and again it was totally, because I never did anything extra to get money or anything. If people want to stay after, I just stayed after with him, and then you get this gift that like, I don't know, I almost felt like I wasn't worthy of it, or it was kindness I had never seen ever really in my life, and you really only kind of get that from touching and building relationships with people, and you had definitely done that. So what was that experience like, man, since we haven't talked about it?
Exactly how you described. It's when you feel like it's almost like unconditional love, where it's like you don't, people, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, gratitude and like just people having that much feeling about you that they're willing to, you know, do that for you, especially on that scale. Like, that's not a cheap thing. That's an expensive thing. And that's something where it's like, it just speaks volumes about the way that people feel about you. And it's like you were saying, like, I don't do this so that I can feel good about myself. I do it because I love it.
Yeah.
And like, sure, it's rewarding to watch someone get a skill or to do something. So that kind of like strokes my coaching ego. But I don't do it for that. You know, I do it because I love it. And when, you know, it's just you see people that are appreciative of you and why you love it, and that's like no feeling like it. So it was awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead. We'll move into closing thoughts here. I'll go first. Morgan, it's great to have you on the show. We've been talking about this for a while. We're going to have to do a show where you and Cindy both come on. So stay tuned for that episode. That's going to be a lot of fun. Mr. Miller, closing thoughts here, brother. What you got?
Closing thoughts is, you know, people. I used to have a girlfriend growing up where, you know, we had dated for a year or so, and she was just like, after a while, she was like, "You've changed." And I was like, well, yeah. Like, the point is that we're supposed to change, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, if we're not changing, what are we doing? And so it's been very rewarding to be with Morgan and to watch her grow and change and to be able to do that together.
Yeah.
So don't, you know, if you are a person that is into fitness and, you know, you see someone that is not aligned with your current lifestyle, you know, people change, you know, and I wouldn't discount the way that someone presents themselves currently, because in 5 years, you know, they could be your wife doing clapping push-ups with 2 kids, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mrs. Miller, closing thoughts. What you got for the audience?
It's never too late to try something new. You know, CrossFit's changed my life. I definitely look at my health in a different perspective now. So I guess don't be intimidated. I mean, I used to think that CrossFit was stupid and not a sport, and now I'm watching like the Mac like on my phone.
Oh yeah. You're a serious fan now.
I am a fangirl now.
Drinking all the Kool-Aid. I love it. Well, Morgan, thanks so much for joining us on this show. Yeah. And for the listeners out there, if you guys follow us on Apple Podcasts, so you guys can give us a 5-star review, that would be incredibly helpful. Or maybe even more so, be a little bit daring. If this has changed your life or you enjoy the show, share it with somebody that you love. We're trying to take this thing to people where we can change their life, just as CrossFit has changed all of our lives, in all honesty.
Sure.
Monroe, where can we find you on YouTube, bro?
At Monroe Miller.
Okay.
This will be live, so.
Yeah, follow, like, subscribe. We'd like to hear your favorite experience with Morgan Miller. Put it in the comments below. We'll catch you guys next time. You're listening to the Full Set Podcast.